Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming to today's Build Your Financial Confidence event. This is something that we do here at University of Washington Miller School of Business, Center for Financial Wellness. As you can see, there's a lot of great things going on over there. Today's workshop is titled Helping Your Finance, and today we have here Dan Wickens, a financial wellness author, who will help you make money a healthy and positive part of your life. Dan's own health and money stories range from cringeworthy to inspirational, bringing unique perspectives to his healthy, durable approach to finance. His content bridges the gap between textbook knowledge and life in the real world. He believes that health is freedom and that you deserve to be free. Dan is an BWT alum and certified public accountant. And when not crunching numbers or writing about money, Dan likes to play guitar, lift heavy things. You can ask him what that means, and play outside in the Pacific Northwest. And there's another little information that's not included in here. He's also a former accounting student association president here at the New York School of Business. And so without further ado, here's Dan, and it's all yours.
Thank you so much. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here. Is volume okay? I'm not yelling at you? All right. Cool. Yeah, thank you so much for being here. And what a beautiful day to all be together. And I hope that we all take a little bit of time today, this week, to honor and celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day as well. It is a big day today, and take some time to learn and appreciate there. So first of all, I always like to start by saying thank you, because I personally believe that grateful people spend less money. When you realize all of the wonderful things in your life, it's a lot easier to not be tempted to try and buy happiness or buy confidence or anything like that. So grateful people spend less money, and that is the first lesson of today. I cannot tell you how grateful I am to be here 10 years later after graduating. And you know, when I started putting financial materials together, it started as just a PowerPoint. And I was gonna maybe go try and teach at high school once a year or something, and it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I was like, wow, this isn't gonna really fit in a PowerPoint. And it ended up being a book. And so this is the first goal that I envisioned when I started writing, was coming back to a campus, especially UWT. And so to have this opportunity, I can't even believe it. So thank you so much. A little bit about me. That's me with my pet and my wife, Autumn. There's a baby in there. He is going to arrive any day now. It was, I've been working with Hisuk and Sally, making sure that I'm actually going to get to be here today, because it could be any day. So this is baby Oliver and my wife, Autumn. And just a little bit about my book. I want to teach everybody to make their finances a healthy and positive part of their life. And so we'll dig into what that means a little bit. I graduated from UW-Tacoma in 2013 and studied accounting. If I could give any advice for how to spend your time on campus here, it's get involved in something. You're going to make friends, you're going to make connections. Any time that you have to be involved in campus and connect with people, that's going to do great things for your resume, your confidence, your skills, all of that. Being here, taking advantage of free lunch and learns. You're off to a good start. So today we're going to learn about the hierarchy of control and how we can use that to make good financial choices, and how the 4 circles of health can also guide good financial choices and help you make money a healthy and positive part of your life. So disclaimer, I'm here as a friend. We're going to talk about health and money today, but I am not providing you with any official health or money expert or advice. I am a CPA. I'm not your CPA. We don't have a contract. So I'm just here as a friend and going to share my own opinions and philosophies. All right. So is anyone interested in playing a game? Perfect. Got good participation already. So we're going to play Hawk, and in round 1, the first person to raise their hand is going to win the prize. It's really that simple. We're going to go on honor system because there's a lot of people in here, which is awesome. But I'm going to announce the prize, and then if you want it, you're just going to raise your hand. Okay? Everyone get it? All right. The prize is, if I can find it, this crispy $5 bill. All right, that's a lot of hands. That's pretty good. And if there are any disputes, we can settle it with rock, paper, scissors. I personally choose rock, and I win about a third of the time. So I highly recommend rock. But I think I saw your hand first. So there you go. Well, that is round one of Hawk. Round two, I'm going to announce the prize. Then I'm going to clap. And then if you want it, get your hand up again, okay? So the prize is, you get to give me $5. You're kidding. No one. That's a clap. Yeah, I mean, that's really nice. All right. I didn't even think to clap. I was like, no one's going to raise their hand. Yeah. So what's the lesson in this? Someone's always going to be willing to take money from you, but it's a lot harder to get people to give you money. Saw a lot of hands go up when there was money on the table to be had, but other than you, who was very kind, no one's really wanting to give much away. And so your financial plan is going to be most successful when you focus on areas that you control. And I think we just learned you have a lot more control over giving away money than you do getting someone to give you more. So applications of that, if you think about your financial plan, your budget, your income and your expenses, it's a lot easier to cut out a streaming service than it is to get a raise. So even if you wanted a raise of $100 a year, which equals just under 5 cents an hour, it's going to be really hard to get that. Someone's going to have to approve it. They're going to have to agree that you deserve a raise. There's a lot of, paperwork and red tape just to get that extra $500. And then it's taxed on top of that. So you don't even get that whole $100. But if you stop spending on junk, you keep every single dollar that you save, and you have full control of that. Even though they might make it a hassle and you have to click through like 27 screens to cancel Netflix, you can much more easily cancel something that you might not need than you can get more money from someone else. So I like to think of setting up a financial plan with the hierarchy of control. And so you're going to find that some areas you have full control, some you have some influence, and some you don't really control at all. So if we look up at the full control area, you can see she's got 315 over her head. She's just rocking it, has total control of the situation. You have all the power when you have full control. Now, some influence, I like that graphic of the two people in the boat, because you can be rowing really hard and going real smooth, but there's someone else in the boat with you. You do not control that entire situation. And in addition to having someone else in the boat with you, there are other factors. If you're on the water, there's probably some sort of current and weather and other things that are just not really in your control entirely. But you have your oars, you can row, so you have some influence there. Now, no control, I get really excited about this one, the analogy of the windsurfer. So quick story, I was hanging out with friends of friends, and the gal is an extremely good windsurfer, and her husband is a professional windsurfer. And we were talking about maybe going to the coast the next week, my wife and I, and they said, oh yeah, maybe we'll see you there. It just depends on if it's windy. And I thought, are you kidding me? This is like a professional windsurfer who wins tournaments, but is dependent on it being windy to go. That's why they live in Hood River, which is a great place to windsurf. Anyway, no control doesn't mean you can't participate. It just means that there's other bigger external factors that really drive how things actually go. And so skill and experience can enhance your result, but you don't control the wind and the waves. So think of that windsurfing example when you're prioritizing everything. So sticking with no control for now, you do not control your investment performance. You don't control interest rates or broader economic conditions. And anyone who does control those things, there's a chance that they may end up going to jail once they get caught. You're not supposed to control those things. So the reason that matters in financial planning is because you can't just count on everything working out exactly the way it's, intended to work out. You can get really good at investing. You can get really good at market forecasting, but at the end of the day, you don't control the market or your investment performance. What you do control is things like your investment choices. You can choose how you participate, right? You can make sound quality investment decisions, but you don't necessarily control how that's going to go. So let's stay on full control now for a little while. And we're going to talk about our attitudes and behaviors. Non-technical, not exciting, but that's really what's going to drive your financial performance, because your attitudes and behaviors affect the way that you earn money, because it affects the way that you show up to work. It affects the way that you spend money, your relationship with money. You can be rich and have a bad relationship with money. Your attitudes and behaviors are going to affect your financial health more than anything else. That's not alphabetical. That just is the two that I thought were worth listing first. So then something in that same vein, like non-technical stuff, your feelings. You can influence your feelings, put yourself in a good environment. You can control how you respond to them with your choices, but you don't totally control those things. So just gonna keep going through the examples. Your career choices, you control what you're studying, you control which jobs you pursue, things like that. You don't necessarily have full control over your job options. You can be willing to relocate, things like that, that you can influence. You can be a really great interviewer, really strong performer, but at the end of the day, someone else makes that decision whether you get that job or not. So that's why it's in the middle there. And then lastly, on this slide at least, essential versus non-essential spending. So I like to think of essential spending as the things that directly support your health. It's like essential spending keeps you alive. It's not that exciting. And for that reason, you're going to have to do the spending no matter what, right? We don't we don't really have an option to not live somewhere anymore. We can't just wander off into the woods and not pay property taxes. It doesn't work like that. And so essential spending is kind of what keeps you alive. Food, water, shelter, safety, all that type of stuff. You can make choices on those areas. You can control what you buy for food or what you spend on your shelter, but you have to buy it. That's why it's not totally within your reach. But non-essential spending are the things that should color your life. That's like fun. So I personally set aside every single month a transfer in my bank account for non-essential spending, fun stuff, concerts, sports, like races, all sorts of fun stuff. And if you have non-essential spending that's not adding value to your life, I have great news. You just found a way to save a bunch more money. All right, so challenge question 1, and give me a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Which of these factors do you have most control over? Salary, behaviors, investment performance, housing prices, or job market? Seeing either a lot of correct answers or a lot of peace signs telling me to get off the stage. I don't know which one it is, but 2 is the correct answer. You have control over your behaviors. Full control, most control. So for those of you who are like, attitudes, behaviors, feelings, not really for me, just tell me how to get rich right now. You're going to earn money by working. You're going to live on less than you make. You're going to invest in a way that materially beats inflation. 1, 2, 3. Bam. You're rich. Let me see your little dance out there. What do you do if you win $1 million? Yeah. You know, when I was practicing, I did a bunch of little dances, and apparently today I'm just not going to do it. And you know what? That leads perfectly into this, because this slide is about managing choices. I apparently chose not to dance, even though I was planning on that maybe by the end. But when you're thinking about your choices, you may not always control what's available, but you control the ones that you make, and you need to make consistently quality choices to have financial success and financial health. So this is relevant for everyone in the room, most likely. We're going to play another game. Which job would you choose? So you have job A, which you're going to make 50 grand and work a nice, clean, flat 40, no overtime, nothing like that. Okay. Job B, you're going to work 25% more hours, but you're going to make exactly 25% more. So that it basically you're being compensated the same for every hour that you're putting in. Job C, you make the most. You make 40% more than job A, but you work 50% more. So let's see it in like YMCA style. Give me an A or a B, a C, or an I don't know.
Make a B.
Yeah, there's a lot of different answers out there, right? I am personally in the I don't know camp because there's so much more than just pay that goes into your work, a huge source of your financial health, being a healthy and positive part of your life. What about your schedule, your benefits? How do you fit with your team? Are you getting the experience that you want? For example, some people might choose that job where they work the most, knowing that they're going to get a lot of experience and be able to slide into something that they want to do long term later. Your location, but especially the one I want to preach the most is how you fit within the organization. Are you doing stuff that you value? Do you feel valued? All of those things make a huge difference in your experience of your profession in addition to just pay. So yeah, there's no wrong answer there, but I'm definitely in the, I don't know, need more information camp. So your choices should be supporting your financial health. And going back to that definition, financial health is when your money is a healthy and positive part of your life. So how do we know that it's a healthy and positive part of your life? We'll get there in just a second. But I want to point out here, more money and more resources should be a good thing, but they aren't always a good thing. I bet all of us can think of at least someone who has more money and resources than we could ever even imagine having. And they're just mean and crabby and nothing's enough. And they always want more and they think it gives them power and different rights than people. That's not necessarily financial health. You can have wealth and health, and that's what we're going for sure. But they're only a good thing if they're actually adding value to your life. So this is where the 4 circles of health comes in. This is the part that when I was writing my book, I got most excited about because when I started, I wrote for about 2 years off and on, and the tone was all about like, okay, here's how you're going to get rich and you're going to be so cool and people are going to think you're great. And then I realized that's really dumb. And I thought about what should your money be in your life? It should be a positive thing. It should be a healthy thing. And what matters more than your health? Well, nothing at all. So if you look up at this graphic up here, we have the 4 intersecting circles, the 4 circles of health: physical, mental, social, and financial. And so right up here in the middle, you can see they overlap. All of them overlap with the other circles. They affect and are affected by each piece. Your physical health and your financial health, extremely correlated. There's a big overlap there. And there are things where all 4 of those circles are connected, hopefully with the good green guys and not the red bad guys. We'll go through some more examples. So another way to picture the 4 circles of health is your physical health is the health of your body. Your mental health is the health of your mind. Your social health is the health of your relationships. And your financial health is the health of your money. So I have a little like routine that I think can help remember this, and apologies for flexing in front of a room of people. I'll do it very gently. So you got your physical, mental, social, and financial. Anyone want to try that? Physical, make sure you don't hit the person next to you. Physical, mental, social, financial. There you go. Yeah. And they're all interconnected. They affect and are affected by one another. So has anyone in here ever set a New Year's resolution? Has anyone failed a New Year's resolution? Yeah. But what happens every single year, no matter which survey you look at, New Year's resolutions are to improve either physical, mental, social, and or financial health. If you think about it, I want to save more money. I want to spend less on junk food. I want to exercise more. I want to call my grandma more often. Those are all the types of resolutions that we set, and we'll learn a little bit about how to stick to those a little bit better. But what do we want? We want those 4 circles of health: physical, mental, social, and financial health. And unfortunately, it's sometimes tough to stick to that. So I'm just going to read directly off the slide for this. It took me about 15 seconds to put this together, and then my wife pared it down because it was getting too long for the slide. There are so many examples. So about the interconnections, think about that circle up at the top there. Medical debt and divorce consistently among leading causes of bankruptcy. Mental health and social health affect the way that you show up and perform at work. People do their best work when they're healthy. Trust me on that one. Money issues are a leading cause of divorce. Toxic relationships can be physically, mentally, and/or financially unsafe, and that is awful. Certain employers might not even hire you if you don't have a credit score above a certain level. A bank, for example, won't hire you if you don't have decent credit. People try and buy self-esteem and self-confidence. That's a big thing. Go to the mall. Financial stress strains the mind, body, and relationships. Woof. And that is just jotting down from memory and then pared down. There are so many more connections. And I want you to think about that. Think about the 4 circles. Think about a situation, a behavior, a scenario, and where it shows up in that graphic. So I will share a little bit of my abbreviated 4 circles journey, how this occurred to me for the first time. I am a millennial. This is the part in the show where I talk about myself for longer than anyone wanted and no one asked. But this is a picture of me back in May after my 2nd marathon. We'll get to where that was. But the 4 circles for me have always been in different places at different times. I've had a fantastic life full of love and joy and opportunity. But that does not mean a life without adversity. That's very, very different. And I will say, I have, throughout my life, struggled with depression, anxiety, and low self-esteem. A lot of people are surprised to hear that because I enjoy public speaking, I'm friendly, I'm generally pretty positive. That's the reality. And it wasn't really until I started going to mental health counseling, I think 4 years ago at this point, that I really started to unravel a lot of this stuff and work toward making my life the way I want it to be. So instead, throughout a lot of my 20s especially, I had this brilliant plan. I was going to fix all of that with money. First of all, I was mostly going to not acknowledge anxiety, depression, low self-esteem, things like that. But I was going to fix it with money. I was going to get rich. I was going to nurture my cravings, give myself anything I ever wanted at any time, ignore reality, and I was going to distract from everything. Let's see how that went. Not great. And I want you to look at the 4 circles up here. I was meeting my financial goals, but it was at the expense of a lot of other things. And so I can't possibly call that a green circle if my obsession with money was making it so I wasn't focused on the other things that are important in my life. So when I was early on in this process, when I was, still trying to commit to being my best self and all of that, I was basically on that, I call it the Dudley Dursley discipline of, I was just trying to give myself anything I wanted all the time. And so I would handle stress with binge eating and drinking. I was always in pain. I was physically in pain, going to the doctor all the time because my body just wasn't working because I wasn't taking care of myself. My doctor told me at 24, dude, your blood pressure sucks. Direct quote from my physician. And the other thing, with all this going on, I was really struggling to keep up in my career because it was just, I was dealing with that really steep anxiety, depression, guilt, shame, a lot of things that people don't like to talk about because it's not very comfortable. It's even a little tough for me to talk about today. And I wrote a book where I did like a long version of this. But anyway, the hardest thing was I wasn't making time for what I love. I wasn't getting the results from the rest of my life that I want. And I don't care about my weight up here. Those are pictures after each of my 50-pound weight gains. It doesn't matter what I look like. It matters what I felt like. It matters what I was experiencing, and that I wasn't making the choices for myself that have brought me a lot more joy and success making now. So what it started with me, or where it started with me, and probably for a lot of people, is with self-esteem. And so a quick definition of that, it's different than self-confidence. Self-confidence is your belief in your ability to do something. You can have low self-esteem and be really good at something. And so that's not really the same thing. Self-esteem is knowing that you have value, knowing that you matter, and that you're a good person. that is sometimes hard to really grasp onto for people. But we're going to use positive self-esteem to make good choices, to make good money choices, to make good health choices. So my thought was always, if I accomplish more, I will be able to love myself and feel okay. More money, I'm going to feel great. Promotion, oh, even better. But it doesn't really work like that. And going back to thinking about the, gaining a bunch of unwanted weight twice, the reason I gained it back was because I didn't do it for the right reasons. It wasn't so that I could feel better. It was for, I just wanted to look a different way. And that doesn't mean anything, but it was about feeling better. So I will make favorable choices because I'm worth it. Now let's plug that in on spending. If I give myself everything I want, I will feel okay. Anyone Harry Potter fans out there? That's what Dudley Dursley does. And no one wants to be Dudley. And he's never happy. That's the bigger problem, is that he's never happy. But when you make favorable choices, in this case, making favorable spending choices, that in the long run and probably the short run is going to make you feel better than giving in to every splurge and craving. Now with wealth and health, that same mindset, if I get rich, I'm going to feel good enough. I'm going to feel great. Nope, doesn't work. Let me tell you firsthand, I bought my first house when I was 24, and it gave me a nice uptick briefly, but that didn't do it. First time I got a six-figure job, gave me a brief uptick, didn't really make me feel any differently. First time seeing $100,000 in my investment accounts. Felt good, didn't really do anything for me, because that's not what it's about. It's more about making good decisions on a consistent basis because you're taking care of yourself. So if you get good results with that, that's great. But if the rest of your life is negatively affected by the pursuit of money, maybe it's not worth it. So I like to use this as a guide. This is my lovely toy Australian Shepherd. She is a 14-pound, teeny tiny, permanent puppy, Aussie. It's my wife's dog. If I'm being completely honest, the dog is kind of a lot. She's very chatty, and I've probably lost years of hearing from just living with this dog for several years. But I like to think about when I'm like, okay, is this a good choice for myself? Whether it's financial or physical or mental or otherwise, what would I want for my dog? When we love someone, we want them to have a positive and healthy life. So you know what we do? We take that little rascal for walks, and we make sure that she is well behaved so that she can socialize and have good relationships, that it's safe for her to go to the park. We hold her accountable if she's being kind of a brat, which we have to do with ourselves sometimes. We can all be brats. But anyway, when you picture it as someone else other than yourself, I find that to be a little bit easier in terms of deciding what a good choice is. What would you want for someone? Would you want your loved ones to save money? Of course you would. So want the same things for yourself. Would you want your loved ones to have the best use of their body that their body is capable of? Of course you would. That's why we take that gal for walks. And then, of course, I have to admit, I'm sorry, I am a cat guy. This is Charlie the cat. Yes, I am an accountant who is a cat guy. Thank you for spending time with me anyway. But treat yourself like a dog in a good way. What would you want for someone you love? And then remember, you matter, love yourself, make good choices for yourself. So acts of healthy self-love, we have all those New Year's resolution-y type things up there. And just remember, there's a lot of, in my opinion, a lot of junk out there about what self-care is. I think a lot of people see self-care as, I love myself, I'm going to give myself everything I want. Or, I don't hate myself, I'm not going to do things that are uncomfortable. No, that's very backward, in my opinion. Thank you. I think it goes back to that same slide of, I'm going to save money because I'm going to make a quality choice for myself. I'm going to exercise because I'm lucky to have whatever use of my body I have. I'm going to invest in good relationships because this wellness author told me that divorce is expensive. It's true. So invest in good relationships. And I thought of this one day. I was just out on a walk, and I had this vision of self-worth. And when you're always reliant on the opinions of others for your self-worth, it's kind of like fossil fuel. You're always going back to the pump to refill, and eventually it's going to run out. For example, if the only thing that you've ever thought was valuable about yourself is your appearance, good luck feeling good in your 80s. It's just going to be tougher. And so it's eventually going to run out. You always got to go back to the pump to refill. But when you have a high opinion of yourself, it is renewable energy. It's that wind, water, solar, whatever else is out there, because you can always go back on that when you're like, ooh, I really want to buy this, but I don't know if I want to take on $50,000 of debt for it. That is a positive self-worth choice, in my opinion. So the results of putting my health first have been awesome. I'm still working through a lot of stuff. I still go to counseling 2-3 times a month, and it's incredibly helpful. I still have to work to manage my stress levels, and that's helpful too. But my work performance has gone way up. First few years of my career, when I really wasn't taking care of myself, it was tough. I was not doing my best work. And since then, it's gotten a lot easier because I make more quality choices more frequently. And then with the financial side of it as well, I did get the early financial success that I was looking for. I was meeting my financial goals. I think I could have done the same, or probably even better, if I had had that same mindset that I have now of I'm going to make quality decisions in every phase of my life, knowing that at the end of the day, that's going to help my finances anyway. And that is my first marathon. And that is the look of just pure blubbering joy on someone's face for 4 hours, 24 minutes, and 59 seconds. My jaw hurt for 2 days. And for anyone who needs context on that time, someone just set a new world record at like just over 2 hours in the marathon. I'm not fast, but that just means I get to run for longer and enjoy the race for longer. But that's the look of joy. That's what health looks like for me. Not everybody has that as their goal, but I was never able to do that. My inflammation was so bad that I could hardly run a mile without having to take a week off. And so that is just the look of having invested in myself and made a lot of decisions over the course of time to do what I wanted to do. And you can do that with your physical, mental, social, and especially financial health. All right. So lessons from the 4 circles of health: invest in yourself because you're worth it. You can use the 4 circles to guide your choices. You're going to be the best worker, saver, and spender that you can be when you take care of yourself. And when you focus on your financial health, the wealth might follow regardless. So looking at a couple things, we'll just walk through a few 4 circles examples. So if you have a high stress, high paid career, and I'm not talking about like just work is stressful. Work is work. No matter what you're doing, it's going to be a little bit stressful. But can you really call it financially healthy if it's hurting all the other areas? Some people aren't stressed out by certain jobs. Some people are. I am not a particularly gifted driver. So if I was a truck driver, that would be a very miserable existence. You could not pay me enough because I would crash it all the time. But anyway, so compare that to a healthy career where you have time to prioritize all of your other things. You have good relationships at work. You can set boundaries. You're making good enough money at least. I think that is a great example of something to pursue. Chronic financial dysfunction. That's a disease that I made up. And again, I'm going to keep going back to Harry Potter. That's where you have everything you want, but nothing that you really need. Everything you want, but nothing you need. Chronic financial dysfunction. That is where you're trying to buy happiness and buy confidence, or where you think that the only thing you're contributing is your success financially, or things like that. We're a lot more than just our work. And we're a lot more than just our financial assets and our financial net worth. Now, this is my favorite. Do whatever your body can do. And that may be different for different people at different times. My personal favorite way to do this, walking with a loved one. Do you know why it's so awesome? Any guesses at why it's a financial green?
It's free.
It's free. The key to financial freedom. Think about that root word, free. Pretty good. If you can find stuff that's free that you love, that's going to be a great way to save a bunch of money. Walking with a loved one, it's physically healthy. It's mentally relieving. It's a huge stress reducer. It can be socially healthy if you're doing it with a loved one, or especially as I prepare to have my first kid, maybe it's socially healthy because it gives me a break from the screaming kid in the other room. We'll see. But anyway, find hobbies that are free and healthy, and that's going to go a long, long way. I think you'll be amazed at how much money you can save when you fill your life with stuff that's pretty much free. All right, so challenge question. Which of the following impact your financial health? The way you earn, spend, the health of your body, mind, and relationships, gratitude, or all of the above? Give me a 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. And again, I'm curious if you have the correct answer or if you're telling me to leave, but we'll assume that you're correct. Financial health is about having everything you want, maximizing wealth, earning more money than the sibling you always get compared to, taking on credit card debt to buy a purse, or making money a healthy and positive part of your life. Yeah, that's exactly right. So your homework, I want you to write out a health and/or financial goal, and then explain what you're going to do it, and most importantly, why. I'll give you a hint. Making good choices for yourself is a great place to start with that. Why do you want it? How are you going to do it? And then you're going to get it done. It's not going to end up being in the resolution graveyard. You're going to get it done. Find zero-cost activities that allow you to socialize, use your brain, and move your body. Those are all things that are uniquely human and extremely satisfying, and oftentimes they're free. And then starting a gratitude journal, because grateful people spend less money. I've been doing this in different forms for probably 5 or 6 years, and it's been one of the most impactful things in my entire life. And it's especially nice because when you point out all of those things that you already have, it's a lot easier to not spend a bunch of money trying to solve those things in a different way. So, got a Linktree link up here for all the links. Last I checked, the link is sending to the correct spot. It always makes me a little afraid. But yeah, I want to say thank you so much for joining today. And again, this is a dream come true for me. There are so many different things that needed to line up for this to happen, and it did. And I appreciate you all so much. You'll always have a special place in my heart as my first public speaking engagement as part of the book. So as long as you don't ask too tough of questions, I'll be very grateful for all of you. Thank you so much. So yeah, if any questions that anybody has, happy to answer whatever. It can be a financial question about something about UW-T, something about, I don't know. Yeah, go ahead.
What was your first job coming after you graduated from UW-T?
My first job was in public accounting at a firm that at the time was called McGladrey and is now called RSM. And it was at the Tacoma office, just right up the street. It was an awesome job, incredible people, great opportunity. It definitely fell in that like job C category. If you think back to the example earlier where you're working a lot, but you're getting great experience. And fortunately, that company was, in my experience, full of amazing people and lots of opportunity. It's really paid off to go that route. But there are also other routes where you don't, where you can maybe go at a slower pace and still get to the same areas.
Before the next question, we're going to be raffling off 16 of Dan's books, and so please stick around, okay? Go ahead. Any more questions?
Yeah, thanks for the question. Anybody else? Yeah, go ahead.
What do you say is the best way to start investing?
start investing, early and often is what I would say. And maybe that's not exactly the answer that you're looking for. Are you looking for more specifics of like which type of accounts?
Yeah, like which type of accounts are there?
Yeah. I think that anytime you can take advantage of tax advantaged accounts, like if you have a 401k through work, or if you can get an IRA, if you don't have a work sponsored plan, then taking advantage of those tax opportunities. And I especially think when you're just getting started, oftentimes we make more each year as we progress through our career. So picking a Roth option, if available, I really like that, because then you're paying lower, you're paying the income taxes up front when you're in the lower tax brackets compared to later in life, unless you just speculate that taxes are going to be more later anyway. But yeah, I would say finding a tax advantaged account, especially a Roth account, is a great way to get started, and doing little bits at a time, doing what you can. If that's $10 this month, $10 this month is awesome. Go plug it into a future value table. It's pretty sweet. So early and often, tax advantaged. Thank you. Yeah, go ahead.
You mentioned that you bought your first home when you were 24.
Mhm.
How did you do that? And like, what led you to that?
The key to buying a home at 24 is to be 24 in the year 2015. So, yeah, I would say that right now, I think it's a really tough time to buy right now. Prices have not gone down to reflect the newly spiked interest rates. They're the highest they've been in a while. Home prices have been climbing forever. If I could give any advice on that, it would be think about what it is that you want out of buying the home, and think of, is this the right time? Is this, and not just is it the right time financially, but is it the right time? Do I think that I'm going to stay here? Because if you stay, even when you buy high, it evens out a little bit more over time. But if you buy high and then you move, woof, that's going to hurt. And so being really particular about what your goal is with buying, and maybe there's other alternatives in the meantime. If you're like, this just feels like too much, sticking with that. If you do a Roth IRA, you have really, really good access to that money. So if you allow that to accumulate, you can eventually pull from that type of investment account without huge tax consequences. So if the prices and interest rates are seeming pretty daunting, reality is right now they are. And so if you have alternatives to be investing, sorry to go really wide with this, but I like to prioritize 3 types of investing: tax advantage investing, like the IRAs, 401ks, so on. Responsible home purchase. Right now, that one is a lot harder to do with all the different circumstances, but also debt pay down. Because when you're paying down your debt, especially as interest rates are going up, that's all guaranteed after tax savings compared to if you were to let your interest go full term. So if, for example, you are paying down, you have a student loan and it's 8% or something like that, anything you can do to pay principal only to shorten the time that you're paying 8% on that, especially up front, that in my mind is investing, because it's affecting your cash flow positively over the course of time. So there might be times, I mean, if someone has a credit card with debt on it, 22% interest, you're never going to out invest that. And so anyway, with home buying right now, I would say the best places to be are probably in those other areas of tax advantaged investing and debt pay down. So then you're prepared, your monthly payments are lower by the time you get into a house. You might have a nest egg that you can draw on to get that down payment going. Yeah, great question. Thank you. Anybody else?
Final question.
Yeah, go ahead. How did I start my health journey? Well, since I already put something about binge drinking on the slide, I will be totally transparent about it. I woke up on New Year's Day one day and I thought, oh my God, my head hurts. I feel like crap. I had all these plans for the day. They're gone because I drank too much the night before. I thought about how much money I was spending on it. And I thought, woof, like this is affecting my physical New Year's resolutions for that year. It's affecting my mental health resolutions because trying to cure depression and anxiety with alcohol is going to get you a lot more anxiety and depression. So anyway, I looked at it, and that's really my first connection that I recall is waking up on a New Year's Day and being like, woof, this is not how I want to live. And so with that, I decided, okay, I'm going to scale back slowly. And I was like, I'm going to drink less this month. And instead of spending money on another bottle of delicious bourbon, I'm going to donate that. This is really exactly how it got started. And so I started giving what I thought the savings was to a nonprofit called Communities and Schools. And I've been doing that ever since. And that is really like that first moment. And then it was realizing like there are things I want my body to be able to do, like getting out and running, that I just can't do right now. And so really it started with the physical health stuff and the ties of physical and financial. Then it eventually grew into like, wow, these mental and social health issues are causing me a lot of other problems. And so that's where it really became that four circles it's pretty funny to have that exact pinpoint moment. But I remember that's actually when I started writing my financial materials too. I was like, I'm going to spend more time on something productive and positive rather than, staying up late. So, yeah, great question. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Well, I'm gonna raffle off some
All
of Dan's
right.
books. But before I do, I wanna put your attention to this. Thank you for coming to today's class. We have one more upcoming event. Actually, we have two. Another one's in the process of being scheduled. But the next one is November 15th, Understanding Your Credit Report and Score. We did this last year, and time again, when we ask students like what would you like some topic to be, this topic comes up quite a bit. So we're going to do that again this year. And also we're going to be, if you go to the Center for Financial Wellness website, it's not quite there yet. We're still working on the application form with the IT department, but there'll be a financial literacy scholarship, and it's open to anybody who have attended the Center for Financial Wellness events. So all of you guys will be qualified to apply for one of five $1,000 scholarship that you can apply towards your tuition payments in the winter quarter. Okay. So, Dan, I just want to thank you so much for coming today. I actually learned a lot. In fact, I really did a lot from things you went through.
Okay, sure, I'll thank you. Thank you, guys.
My own financial journey, so thank you very much. Let's give them a round of applause.
Thank you so much. It's been a good time. Thank you much.